Good morning, gang. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, depending on where you are in the world when you're watching this. Welcome back to this week's altcoin update. First and foremost, remember, nothing discussed today is financial advice. It's just for educational purposes only. And now that we've got that out of the way, let's jump into some altcoin, shall we? So this week's requests were APTOS and DOGE, or DOGE, or however you want to pronounce it, I don't really care. So they're the two charts that we're going to take a look at and see if we can find some setups. Now, before we get into that, big shout out to today's video sponsor, PrimeXBT. Prime are one of our exchange partners. If you don't know who they are a crypto exchange, but not only can you trade crypto, but you can also trade FX, commodities, and stock indices. And if you use our code down in the description, you can get up to a $7,000 deposit bonus. And the beauty of these guys is they are a non-KYC exchange. So if you do have trouble with KYC, then check out PrimeXBT. Now that's out of the way, let's start off with APTOS. So first and foremost, we've come up back towards the all-time highs. We've not taken the all-time highs. So this is a level that needs to be marked off on your chart. That's what I'll be doing first and foremost. Now, as we can see here, we're having a pullback, but obviously the rest of the market's also having a pullback, and Bitcoin is dropped over the past few days. So this doesn't surprise me at all. Now, it all depends on where's it going to stop. So we can do a few things here. So first and foremost, let's take an overall fib from the absolute low to the absolute high. And let's see what we've got going on here. Now, on top of that, let's throw on some volume, because you know me, if you've been following this channel for a while, everything from me is all about the volume, because nothing is as important as volume. Okay, right, so this is what we've got going on right now. So let's talk about downside first, if this continues to go down. Well, first and foremost, if this does continue to go down, then the first area that we need to be aware of is around this 382. So we've got the 382 fib, we've got the value area high of the overall volume profile, and then we've got a high volume node just below it. So this region here is coming in roughly around 1380 down to, I would say, 1330. So if we continue to come down here, and then within this region start to show some strength and hold outside of value area high, then we can look for long triggers. And if we do get long triggers in this zone, then realistically, the all-time high would be on the cards. Does it mean if we get a long here, it definitely goes to all-time high? No, it doesn't. Okay, just means the probabilities of coming up here are fairly high. Okay, so this would be the first region. Now, if this region fails and we get no strength in here and we start to come down lower, well, the next realistic region that I'd be interested in, if I'm being honest, is down by this golden pocket. Why? Because this golden pocket also lines up with the overall point of control. It's where most of the volume is within this zone here. So this would be a region that I'd be very interested in taking a long. Now, if we zoom out to the monthly chart, let's see if we've got any more confluence here. Yes, we've obviously got, for you order block traders, got a monthly sticky zone here. Again, it makes no difference to me. It's all about this point of control. But you can see here, you've got a good zone around that golden pocket, around that point of control. And obviously this is the last sideways consolidation before the push up. Okay, so this zone here I'd be very interested in. So if we did come down into this region and start to show some strength, then I'd be very much interested in taking some longs. If that didn't hold, then we can start looking at lower prices. But for now, those are not on the table unless we start to lose this region. First and foremost, this region. Now, what happens to the upside? Well, that's really simple. If we do start to turn around, either in this region here or coming down into this 382, then once again, all-time highs first. Now, at all-time highs, you've got a question. Do we just take the all-time highs, swing failure pattern, back under, then we're looking at short triggers, and then effectively we are just trading one very large range. Like this. Nice and simple. Or do we take the highs and continue running up? That's the question, okay? Now, for the average Joe, especially in the crypto space, that's potentially not a good trader, then the short opportunity up here probably isn't the smartest of moves for a lot of people. But if you are an experienced trader and you understand what you're looking for and you do get some weakness here, then the short trade could yield some good results. But once again, we need to get up there first. So this is how we plan out our trades. And again, this is something that people seem to fail to realize. Where am I interested in taking trades? Well, I'm interested in taking a trade there. I'm interested potentially taking a trade there. And I'm interested in potentially taking a trade there. Now, does it mean that price has to go to any of these levels? No, it doesn't. All it means is if price does come into one of these levels, if I then see the reaction that I'm looking for, and I'm starting to see the strength for the longs, or I'm seeing the weakness for the shorts, then I will take a trade. If I don't get anything within these zones, then there's no trade to be taken. Okay, so it's quite simple, is Aptos at the moment. Not many areas of interest, but the areas of interest that are there are fairly strong. Now, finally, DOGE, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so first and foremost, I'm only interested in this top section here. So I'm going to throw it on a volume profile from the absolute highs to current price action right now. And as you can see here, we're just below that value area high. Now, the other thing on here that I'd be very interested in is talking about a range. So let's use these absolute lows here up to these highs here. And there we go. So we've got a range locally. Now, looking at this, where we are right now, obviously, we got out of the range, we deviated back into the range, and then we've pushed back out. Okay, so let's talk about upside and downside here. If price does come down and we can't hold where we are right now, then what happens back at these range highs? Does this turn into an SR flip? Bear in mind, we've done it a couple of times here. So if we come down, do we then start to show some strength here? Start formulating a base? Potentially showing some signs of accumulation on a lower time frame. Bear in mind, I'm looking on the daily right now. Then we've potentially got a long trigger. If we get that long trigger, then first and foremost, I'll be looking up towards this value area high. If we start taking out that value area high, quite simple, we'll just play it level to level. The next key zone would be there. Because above these equal highs, we know there's some liquidity. So this will be the major target. So that's coming in roughly around 35 cents. Now, what happens if these range highs don't hold? Well, it's not going to look that strong. But if we do come down and start coming back below that, first and foremost, I'd be interested to see what happens underneath these lows here. And tag those on. So what's that coming in at? Roughly around 12 cents, just for easy numbers. If we do start coming down here, do we just grab some local liquidity and start to show some strength? If we do, then we run it back up to range highs. At range highs, then we've got a question. Do we break out of range highs and continue up? Or is this acceptance back into the range, back up to range highs, then we start heading back down again? And all we are is range bound. Okay? Well, you've got to question yourself. Now, if this down here offers nothing at all, then I'll be looking for lower targets. And this is where people are going to think that I'm a bear. But again, I'm just offering my areas of interest where I'd be looking to trade. So if we do get acceptance back into here and we start coming back down, then realistically, this price action here that pushed price outside of the range in the first place is thin. We've created no structure within this level. So if we do come back below this key low here and don't get a swing failure pattern and back up to the upside, then realistically, I'm looking back down towards this EQ and this point of control. So anywhere between, call it 9 cents for easy numbers, and 8 cents. So this would be quite an interesting zone. What happens within this space? That's what I'd be looking for to the downside. Okay, so to the upside, value area high, first and foremost. If we start clearing that, then looking at 35 cents, give or take. We've got liquidity above there. And to the downside, I'd be looking at 12 cents, followed by 9 cents to 8 cents. Okay, they're the main areas of interest to be aware of. And then obviously, if and when price does come into those zones, does it give you the setup trigger? Okay, if you guys want an altcoin covering next week, let me know down in the comments. If you appreciate the free content, then hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. Until next time, gang, as you were.